You are now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show.
I suppose my resilience actually is, and I don't always share this, is it came crashing down last year because I was a very, very fast-paced coach, and I got to a great life, honestly. Like, everybody wants to be the 10K coach. I smashed that. But do you know what I did when I did the 10K coach was I was like, I'm going to be a 15 one now. I'm going to be a 20 one. The top of my mountain was the bottom of the next one. I was just always, nothing was ever enough. And I'd got to this stage. And part of the cycling thing was that I couldn't do what I could do before. So much as I thought I could do what I could do before, I was in a gym. I didn't fit into my life at all. I couldn't go to the classes. They'd wheel me in for coffee and then come back out again. And that was really, really hard, which is why I moved out to a different salon and came out. I tried to carry on for about a year. I ignored what they said. And then I've never had a bad back in my life. And my back went, going back to not walking, pains in other places, and it frightened me. And I just thought, oh my God, this is going to be what I'm going to do. So I started to work on the business, which I should do anyway. Not the best way to learn that lesson, but it is true. On the business, not in the business. And I don't advocate anybody who's going to break a leg to do that. Find an easier way. But what I did when I started marketing the business and doing the business got more successful. So I got lots of praise for this more successful person and lots of praise for the business side of it. So the physical Deb, who was the body pump person, was a cycling person, I thought she was dead. I thought, she's just gone. And I can never get her back. Once I realised the extent of what I could do, I couldn't get her back. So I built this other person. I built this business person, very hard face, very hard coach, very like go hard or go home. I'm not going to sleep for 6 weeks, like a mini Wolf of Wall Street without the drugs, And then just last year, I'd been to Jamaica, I'd been on a retreat in Ibiza, I'd been on a walking holiday, and I just had this amazing life. And I sat down and I met somebody who's very inspirational, and I think you should have her on your podcast, Sheena Shanti. She's a spiritual coach. And I met her totally by accident, and we started talking, and she said, "You're burnt out. You're burnt out." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm having a wonderful life. I'm flying to Ibiza tomorrow. Shush, get on with your stuff." And then we sat down at the end of the day and had a conversation. And she basically said, "Look, there's a much nicer life for you if you don't keep running around and being this tough person, this hard person." And she had another person who I was doing marketing for at the time, Suzanne Davis. And I was talking to her and I said to her, the trouble is, like, this is me now because this is what I've got. That other person is not there. And she said to me, she said, no. She said, Fat Debbie is sitting on Fit Debbie. You just won't let her out. And I was like, no, she's definitely gone. She said, try. And so I kind of went away and thought about it. And I was like, really? Could I just unzip the bag and maybe bring this other person out? This one that's likes to exercise and likes to do this stuff and is a little bit softer and a little bit nicer than this person who's quite hard. And, like one of my clients would call me the procrastination police. Another one calls me a virus, So I was really quite tough and almost emulating a coach that I was with at the time, almost emulating that because I didn't have my real person. I wasn't this person. So through the exercising, I managed to drag this other person out. And I took 6 weeks out of the business, just stopped. The spiritual coach, Sheena, she said to me, just stop. And I said, what do you mean just stop? I didn't know how. I didn't know how to look after myself. So she said, just do nothing. So I said, well, what do I have to do nothing? Like, I wanted a list of do nothing.
Give me a checklist, please.
Honestly, I'll phone her up and go, what does doing nothing mean? Does that mean I have to meditate? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? Should I be listening to videos? I'm like, now I look at it, I think, oh my God, you're manic. And over the 6 weeks, I did nothing. I just pottered. And she'd go, how are you feeling? I'm like, well, I feel all right. Not stressed or anything. She's like, okay, carry on doing that. She wouldn't give me what nothing was. And then about 6 weeks later, I kind of had this little ball of happiness sitting here. And I just thought, okay, there's nothing, things all right. It's quite good. And then I could see the absolute chaos that I'd lived in, mental hustle chaos that I'd lived in. And not only could I see it for myself, I can now see it in pretty much most entrepreneurs. And I kind of want to say to her, and I do, the people that I work with say, there's an option here that you don't have to live in that chaos. You don't have to do emails at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to still be working at 10 o'clock at night. You don't have to do 7 days a week, or, just constantly thinking if you weren't working, you're not getting anywhere. Actually, there's a much nicer way to work, and there's a much nicer way to have a life. I finish work at 5 o'clock every day. I have an alarm on my phone that says, stop work, go and do something that isn't work. Literally, I put it on my phone Monday to Friday, and the people I was working with at the time thought that was amazing. They were like, oh my God, that's amazing. It's like the most amazing thing that I'd ever done was to tell myself to stop work at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But before that, I used to finish at 7 and then go and start cooking the dinner. So like move from maybe one side of the kitchen to the other. And I'd listen to somebody that said about habits and resilience, stuff like that. And it was like, it's not enough to have, it's not enough to just want something. You have to do stuff. So he was like, look at a habit that you've got that's taking you away from what you want to do, and make a habit that takes you towards what you want to do. And so I was like, okay, if I keep finishing at 7 and then start cooking the food for everybody, I can't train. I can't train for the bike ride, and I want to do the bike ride. So how do I make some time in my life for that? And so I've set the alarm at 5 o'clock. So sometimes I'd go on a bike ride, and sometimes I'd just do the stuff that made it easy for me to take a whole day on the weekend and cycle. So that's kind of now in my life, really, that quietness, that calmness, a lot of like not going to the parties and stuff. Now I'm not really bothered, because I realised actually the nicer life is nice. So she's out of the closet, and the other one's kind of not gone in the closet, but they sit side by side now. They don't sit on top of each other. But, burnout, you never recognise when you're in burnout.
No, absolutely not. And that's because we're in burnout. And I've totally been there before. And everything you were saying, I was like, oh my God, where were you when I needed to hear this a couple of years ago?
That's what everyone says.
Yeah, of course, because we all experience it. And hopefully those of you watching or listening will get value of this. And maybe you see even a tiny bit of it. You're going, oh my God, that's me. I'm in there right now. And I find it interesting that you refer to these two versions of Debbie, because what I've experienced when we go through grief, when we go through adversity, because it is an element of grieving. There's something that's happened in our life. So all of us, that changes who we are. And we have to almost let go of what we thought we were going to be. And we're grieving that.
Totally.
And you had actually labeled these two versions of Debbie. And it's really beautiful to see that they are now, like you say, side by side, not one on top of the other or one hiding. What advice would you give to somebody else that's maybe been through adversity, that is currently still facing this fact that they haven't managed to find this balance between the two versions of themselves?
Well, I would say call me, first of all. But I think what you have to do is just allow yourself some kindness. I wasn't kind to me. I was kind to everybody else, but I wasn't kind to me. I was so unkind to me that first bit, when the car was about to hit me and I thought I'm going to die, I was angry that I didn't start fighting earlier. I literally could not show any vulnerability. Not one bit of vulnerability. And it was a protection, I suppose, of where I was. But I was angry for 10 years that I didn't start fighting straight away. That I couldn't even give myself a break in that situation. That I didn't do because I thought, I could have done 4 steps. Maybe I could have been somewhere else. So, idiot, why did you do that? That horribleness to myself. No one else would even think of that, but I had that in my head. Didn't really talk about it, but in my head, I was just like, damn it, you could have done better.
Yeah.
And so I think for anybody who's going through something at the moment, just take, like, I can still only meditate for 10 minutes. Even I go on YouTube and I find a bit of music to listen to and just breathe. That's all it is. It's just breathing, and just doing some nice deep breaths. And if it says more than 10, 12 minutes, I won't even click on it. And I'm still very impatient. When it says the 5, 4, I'm pressing at 3, just in case that makes it quicker. I know it's not, but I still do press at 3. And just take 10 minutes to yourself. Just 10. Not like some days when I'm really busy, I'll put the damn music on when I'm in the shower, and I try to do the breathing when I'm in the shower. But what it does is just takes my head to a different place. So what I'm saying is just switch off for 10 minutes, even if it's in the shower, even if you've got to just go and park somewhere in a car park and just turn everything off. Like, they like white noise and stuff for meditation, and just breathe, stop your head for a minute, because you'll find that is enough in the beginning.